Long ago, when the sands of the Nile whispered secrets of gods and kings, a queen rose who would become legend. Her name was Cleopatra VII Philopator, the last pharaoh of Egypt. She was not only a ruler, but a strategist, a diplomat, and a woman whose charm and intellect could bend the will of the most powerful men in Rome. Born in 69 BCE into the royal house of the Ptolemies, Cleopatra grew up in a palace of intrigue. Her family was of Greek descent, ruling Egypt after Alexander the Great's conquests. But unlike her ancestors, Cleopatra embraced the Egyptian people, learning their language, their customs, even presenting herself as the living goddess Isis. This gave her a bond with her subjects that few rulers before her had achieved. When her father, Ptolemy XII, died, Cleopatra ascended to the throne alongside her younger brother, whom tradition forced her to marry. But soon, palace plots and political betrayal pushed her into exile. She was young, but not defeated. Cleopatra knew that Egypt's fate lay in the hands of Rome, the rising empire whose generals and senators controlled the Mediterranean. It was then that fate brought her to Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome. Legend tells that Cleopatra, barred from entering the palace, had herself rolled inside a carpet and smuggled to Caesar's chambers. When the rug was unfurled, there stood Cleopatra, radiant and bold, her eyes burning with determination. Caesar was captivated. Together, they restored her throne, and Cleopatra bore him a son, Caesarion, the child she dreamed would one day rule both Rome and Egypt. But Caesar was murdered, and the Roman world fell into civil war. Cleopatra turned her gaze to Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal general. Their meeting in Tarsus was a spectacle. Cleopatra sailed up the river on a golden barge, dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, surrounded by music, perfume, and splendor. Antony, charmed and overwhelmed, became her ally and her lover. For years, they ruled together, blending Egyptian wealth with Roman power. Yet Rome was unforgiving. Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, saw Cleopatra as a threat to his ambitions. In 31 BCE, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's fleet crushed Antony and Cleopatra's forces. Defeated, the lovers fled back to Egypt. As Octavian closed in, tragedy struck. Believing Cleopatra dead, Antony fell on his sword. Gravely wounded, he was carried to her side, where he died in her arms. Heartbroken, Cleopatra